Hello and welcome to episode 272 of the Wisdom and the Tangents podcast. I'm your host, John Mansfield, and today I'm answering your questions. I get a lot of DMs from y'all, which is great. I love it. Keep sending them. I love community and talking to people, and I get a lot of stuff about camera gear, or what would you do if this situation happened, or whatever. So I wanted to answer some of those on the podcast, obviously with your permission. You sent them in to me for the podcast, but this is something that I do on Patreon. So this recording that I'm going to be playing in just a little bit is from January's Ask Away is what I call it. I started doing this, so a little bit outside of business here. I started doing this with my oldest, who is 11, and I had seen someone on TikTok. His name's Dylan. He goes by Dad Chats. I'll throw him up on the screen here. But I follow Dylan, and he and his wife are really funny, and they have little things. It's just it's interesting little haha things that, like, my wife and I like to watch them. And he had mentioned at some point that in the evenings, when it's like time for getting ready to bed, that's whenever kids just want to talk all the time. And so he has started asking, at least his oldest kid, do you have any questions for me? Because, like, you want to you want to make sure that they know that you are a safe place to go for questions, and that you have that open communication, and they can come to you and ask anything. So you want that to be like natural and normal. And I was like, that's a great idea. So I don't know, a few months ago, I started doing that with our oldest, who was 10 at the time. And that is exactly the time that he wants to talk the most. I'll pick him up from school and be like, hey, how was school? Did you do anything fun? What happened in your fourth period? And like stuff like that, trying to get something. And most of the time it's just like, I don't know, it was a day at school, whatever. Dad, I'm hungry and I just want to go chill on the couch, which I get, because that was me too at 11. But at night, that's whenever he's like, hey, so at recess, this happened. And let me tell you this story. And my orchestra teacher told me this thing. And it's just like, that's whenever, I guess, it's kind of like slows down. And then his brain's like, now I want to process these things. So I have started doing that, that Dylan suggested, or not suggested, but just like talked about that he was doing. So I have started doing that in the evenings, where I talk to my son and just like, do you have any questions for me? Anything in the world, ask away. So I kind of took that, which he has had some very interesting questions over the last months, and it's been really fun. So I suggest that if you have kids. I've tried that with our daughters, our oldest daughter's 7, and they're not really interested right now. They're much more interested in reading books, having me read the books to them, and I'm very happy to do that. But yeah, so I kind of took that ask away thing that I ask my son. I'm like, I'm going to ask away to you, the audience, the listeners, the people on Instagram and TikTok and Patreon. So that's what this is. And these are some questions that I got for the January Ask Away. If you like this and you want to ask your questions, I'm going to be doing this again this month in February. It's going to be a week from this Friday. So February 24th, I'll be doing the live Ask Away. So you can join and ask your questions, or you can send the questions early and then I will answer them there. But then, you'll get to hear this in March if you're not part of Patreon. So anyway, then let's get into January's Ask Away. Welcome to Wisdom in the Tangents. I'm your host, John Mansfield, and today is the January Ask Away, where you can ask me anything that's been on your mind, anything that you've been wanting to ask me, or anything uh, at all that you've been wanting to ask anyone else. I got a few submissions from y'all, so I'm going to go through those first. And then if you're watching live, you can drop in the chat and I will bring those questions in as soon as I can see them. But yeah, so I'm going to start with a funny one because I shared on social media that I was doing this and I was like, hey, I'm going to be going live on Patreon. Ask me any questions. And I get a lot of DMs about like camera gear, photography tips and techniques, business, marketing, networking, that kind of stuff. But a lot of the influencers will talk about like their skincare routine or their food prep, whatever. So as a joke, I put on the list of things that you can ask me about with like photography, education, business, gear, my coffee order. I was like asking about my skincare, and then I got I got a comment from Crystal being like, "Yes." She was like, "Ooh, skincare." She said, "Ooh, skincare, please. Fiance needs a routine before the wedding." So Crystal, let me show you. I don't have a big skincare routine, but I do get told that I still look in my 20s. Sometimes people are surprised whenever I say that I'm almost 40. Um, but yeah, I don't do a lot, but for a dude, I think anything more than washing your face with just water is probably a lot. So I have this Palmer's coconut oil formula with vitamin E. It's a facial scrub. It exfoliates because it has little beads of sugar in there, like raw coconut sugar. It's great, smells delicious, and works really well. It's just a little facial scrub. It's good. It's better than soap on your face. Also, this is all thanks to my wife for buying these things and then being like, "You should use this." And thank you to Jamie B. Golden for sharing her skincare routine, and then my wife being like, "I'm gonna buy that," and also, "John, you should use this." And then after that, I also will use the Palmer skin therapy oil. It's just a little bit on your forehead, rub that in, and it's good. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Every now and then, this I don't really know how to say it. Bioma, maybe brightening serum is a good one, but it sometimes makes my skin burn if if it's like directly after a shower. So that might just be me, actually. But yeah, that's my skincare routine. Thanks for that. Thank you for Crystal for asking about that. But now we're gonna get into the business stuff. Now that we've had some fun with skincare. Um, Nobody asked, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. I am drinking some. Oh wait, no, this is new coffee. Ooh, I don't remember the brand of this. I'm sorry. I was gonna tell you, but I got gifted a few bags of coffee for Christmas, and this is one of them. So thanks, Mom and Dad. It's good. It's like a breakfast blend. It's light. It's not super dark roasted. So you got more caffeine in a lighter roast. If you didn't know that. Next question. We got Ariel asking, what has been your biggest network connection and how did you make it? If you know me, I'm all about networking and making connections and being with people. One of as I was thinking about this, like, what is my biggest? I'm terrible with what are they? Not superlatives. Maybe it is superlative. I don't know. I'm terrible with absolutes. Like, what is your favorite? This. I will tell you what one of my favorites is, but I can't tell you like what is my favorite pizza topping. Um, Probably. pepperoni. It's just classic. But anyway, I was trying to think of like what is my biggest connection, what has benefited me greatly over the years, and it's with a local venue. When I'm thinking about like networking and actually like bringing in business. This is one of the venues. So I live in College Station. I moved here a little bit over 10 years ago. Whenever I first moved here, I had already had an established business in another city, had relationships with venues, and had been photographing weddings for a few years at that point. So then, whenever I moved here, it was completely new, had never photographed in this town. So I took tours of different venues and I tried to network as much as possible to like make friends and make connections and hopefully get some business. So this was one of the venues that I toured, 7F Lodge. Shout out Lisa and Ginger out there. But as one of the first venues that I toured because it looked cool. Like I got married in a small little white chapel up on a hill in Taylor, Texas, and this was a small little white chapel, like in the woods, kind of, and in College Station. I was like, I will go check this out. This looks familiar. I can do this. I've shot at places like this before, and they were really great. I continued that relationship over like probably the next year. I had a couple of weddings out there because I also took photos whenever I toured the place, shared that with the venue, also let them know, hey, I'm a photographer that will share my photos because that is a big deal where a lot of photographers don't. And and yeah, I think that kind of started that relationship off on a good foot where I shared some photos that I had taken. And then after I did, I think probably after my first wedding out there, maybe after my second, I created an album of photos that I had taken at like engagement shoots, some of just the place, the venue itself, and then also photos from the wedding. And I made an album, and I gave that to them to keep in their office to share with potential couples that are coming in to talk to them. And that album ended up bringing in probably 5 or 6 weddings in that first year. And then just building that relationship with them over the years. They have, I'm on the preferred vendor list now. We have like an all-inclusive deal where they offer my services as long as I'm available that day for like a discounted rate, and they get a cut of it. And I don't have to do any marketing or anything. I just get a text being like, "Hey, are you available this day?" And I am. They're like, "All right, cool. We'll send over a contract." So that sort of thing is great. But this has been a continued networking relationship with them, um, and starting off as a I'm going to show up here for you. Here's some photos for you. I'm not asking that you post them online. I'm not asking that you link back to my website. And just like showing up and serving people is a really great way to start building those connections. But yeah, over the years, I tried to like tally it up of like specific, because I've had weddings out there that I've booked just from people seeing my photos and then booking me because I've shot out there. But the ones that are like direct referrals from just like a quick little something has been about like 60, maybe $70,000. So I would say that's a good networking, a good what was it? Biggest network connection. Um, but yeah, how did you make it get out there and be friendly? That is the biggest thing. Be friendly and make some connections. I think the biggest thing with networking is that you should be the one connecting. And whenever you can connect people, and you have to like ask people questions about their business and what they do and be curious and then remember. So I also have like notes in my phone contacts about like different people that I meet and uh, and what they can do. So then I can whenever I'm talking to someone and they're like, "Oh, I need a roofer for this," I'm like, "I know a guy. I did some photos for a roofer, and I can hook you up with that." And like being that person that knows people, and you know people by asking questions, and also people feel seen whenever you ask questions. So that's what I would recommend. Get out there, meet people, ask questions, keep tallies, uh, DM them, and be like, "Hey, it feels like a networking event or something." Be like, "Hey, it's so great to meet you. I'm excited about this upcoming thing that you have coming on that you shared to me about this styled shoot or whatever that you're doing. I'm excited about that. Can't wait to see the photos." That kind of stuff, because it makes people feel seen, and that's what we want to be. Uh, but also just like showing up. Hopefully that answered your question. But thanks, Ariel.
Kids, I'm going to tell you an incredible story. A story about how I met your mother. And I'll tell it in less than 9 years. Years ago, I used to spend all of my time editing photos and straightening and cropping and color grading. All of my friends thought I was antisocial, but really, I was just overworked. Then I met Imagine AI. Imagine AI looks at the steps that you take from your raw images to your final products, and then they replicate that so everything looks like your edits. And the best part is that they learn more and more and get better after every single photo shoot. Since I've been using Imagine AI, it has saved me over 200 hours of editing time, time that I could spend on other things like going to Super Bowl parties and meeting your mom. So, if you want some extra time in your life, go to allheartphoto.com/AI and get your first 1,500 images edited for free. That's allheartphoto.com/AI and get back your time. See how I didn't fixate on your Aunt Robin? This is how you tell a story. Now back to the show.
We got another question from Christy. She said, "I'm curious to know how to grow or how you grow your podcast." Um, this has been something that, like, in 2025, I really decided I want to grow this podcast. It has always been kind of like a fun, not necessarily a hobby, but kind of a hobby where I didn't start this podcast to make money. I didn't really start this podcast to point to, point you, the listeners, to come learn from me, or to do like one-on-one coaching calls or anything like that, or point toward um, workshops. Whenever I've hosted workshops, I've talked about them on the podcast, pointed you toward that, and y'all have shown up, which is amazing and so much fun. But like that's not the purpose of the podcast. And in 2025, I was like, I really want to be intentional about what I'm doing with the podcast and be intentional about how to grow. So I started bringing in education, or taking in education from podcast. I was going to say podcast performers. That's not the right word. Like podcast managers, and people who know podcasting things. Haley Griffin. Nope, Haley Gaffin. I always want to call you Haley Griffin, Haley, if you're watching. Uh, I don't know why. Maybe that should be like part of your logo. It's like have a griffin or something. Um, but no, that would just be more confusing for everyone instead of just myself. Haley Gaffin, Gaffin Creative. She's great. I've learned so much from her just for free through her podcast, which is escaping the name of it. But yeah, just look up Haley Gaffin, and I'm sure it'll pop up. But yeah, like I started being intentional. So first thing to grow your podcast, be intentional about it. So I looked at the showing up every single week, and I was like, I still have a pretty much full time job doing photography that I have to edit. I have emails, I have meetings, I have photo shoots, and I have marketing that I'm doing for that. I also am the primary parent, and I have my time that I need to sweep and mop the floors and clean the dishes and make food and also drop off and pick up the kids from school. So like I have a lot of things going on, and I can record an episode, edit the episode, and get that episode out every single week. But that's pretty much all that I was able to do. And I was like, coming up to the release days and finding myself like, oh, I forgot to record an intro and I need to do that this morning and then edit it all together and then send it out. And I wasn't like really providing a lot more than just the audio and video for the episode. So I decided to cut back. And I was like, if I can provide a lot more and better quality stuff, uh, by slowing my release to once every other week, then that's what I need to do. And that has been really great and really freeing. And for the people pleaser perfectionist in me that was like, no, I need to be out there every single week. All of these big podcasts are every single week or multiple times a week, and I need to add more shows, and I need to add like this little 5 minute clip that I'll release every third week or something. And just like looking what everyone else is doing got to be too much. So really, one, be intentional. Two, find like ask yourself, what am I capable of, and then that's a good place to start. So if you are like, I am capable of one episode a month, start there. Start at one episode a month, and then after a little bit you're like, okay, this is good. I can release one episode. I can also create some social media graphics and some reels and TikToks and YouTube shorts and put those out there. I can do that in a month. Let me try every other week. And then if every other week you're doing really great with that, maybe you can go to every week. Every other week has been a good sweet spot for me to where I can release the episodes. I can also create the graphics and like branded graphics, which I'm really loving the new brand. I hope y'all are loving the new brand too. I don't know. I think it looks more like me instead of the last minute. I got a new headshot, so I'm just gonna throw something together in Photoshop. This was actually like again intentional. So everything's cohesive and like you have branding, um, graphics, and reels and stuff like that. Also, another great way to grow your podcast is to ask for what you want. Back to that people pleaser in me, I would just be like, hey, I'm going to post online. It would be great if you could share it. And that was pretty much where I left it with my guests. And now I will ask, like, hey, I'm going to be posting all week. Actually, those 2 weeks now that your episode's out, I'll be posting graphics. I'm going to be posting some reels, and I'm going to send you what are they called? Collaboration invitations, and I do that for every single person. Yeah, no matter how big or little your following is, and I tell them straight up, like, "Hey, this is I'm going to be sending these invitations to you. Be amazing if you accepted it. I know some people's grids are still very sacred, so that is also something that I do. Finish that thought first, John. So I tell them that I know the grids are still sacred for some people. If that's the case, no hard feelings if you decline the invitation, but I would love it if you could share with your like share it to your stories or repost it now, or because we have that option on Instagram, or share it to your email list, which is even better because they are typically more engaged than social media. But like actually asking for what I want. And that's what I want for you, Chrissy, to actually ask for what you want. And then people have those expectations of what to do whenever they are a guest. Because not everyone is just like, oh, I'm going to do an email blast to everyone, let them know that I was on the show, and I'm going to repost all the things, and I'm going to create my own reel from like my highlights that I loved. Not everyone does that. So being someone that or having that ability to just be like, this is what I would like, puts out those expectations. Also, that point that I cut myself off on earlier with the grid and everything. Whenever you're sending those invitations for people to collaborate online, look at their grid and what they typically post, and then create that cover that will fit with their grid. I don't care if it fits with mine. I want it to look like them so that they will share it, because then that gets in front of their audience, and then also that gets my audience to them because they're just going to see it anyway. But yeah, keep that in mind whenever you're making like the Reels covers, which I just do on Canva. I have a couple templates, and then I usually use their headshots or something that I have just screenshotted off of Instagram or Facebook. Um, I think that's everything that I wanted to talk about there. Oh, one more note on that is that consistency. We might think that we're not big podcasters because we don't have Spotify knocking down the door being like, "Hey, we want an exclusive deal. We want to pay you $50 million." But if you actually look at all of the podcasts, 90% of podcasts stop recording by the third episode. They get three in, and then they're just like, "This is not for me." So you're already past that. You're already in that 10%. And then 90% of that 10%, they don't make it to 20 episodes, and they end up folding there. So, and I know you are well past 20. I think you're nearing 200 now, which amazing. But yeah, if you're past 20 episodes, you're in that 1%, the top 1% of all podcasters. And if you have posted anything in the last like 90 days, then you're already in the top 15, 20% of all of those active podcasters. So you're doing great. You have a voice, and just be intentional about it and seek out those opportunities to really um, share more and get in front of other people. Last question that came in. I'm gonna take a quick coffee break. I feel like I've just been talking, talking, talking because I have. Last question came in is more photography related. This is from Caitlin. She asked, "How can a parent of a disabled child have confidence to book a shoot?" Great question. Um, Representation. So I guess let me talk to the photographers first, and then I will talk to the parent. Which I know you're a parent and you asked this, but I'm going to talk to the photographers first because this is a business podcast. Photographers, you need to have representation. We talk about representation a lot. I've had people on the show to talk about representation with people of different races, different skin colors, queer representation. And I had Kelly Hetler on the show, episode 241, where we talked about how to photograph people with disabilities, and that is like her specialty. And so definitely check out that episode, photographers. But if you can show that you have worked with people with disabilities, either physical disabilities, uh, like learning disabilities, if you have a specialty, or if you're just like, hey, I like for me, I connect really well with kids with autism, which I took a test earlier this year, and there may be a reason for that. But like kids with autism, I typically am able to like get them uh, connected and like engaged in the photo shoot. So with that, if you have some connection or something where you're just like maybe you've worked with a child with Down syndrome before, and I would check with the parents before posting photos and stuff because I'm which we should be doing anyway with all families, but like sharing photos. If you've photographed anyone with disabilities, share those photos. Put them on your portfolio because people who have a child with Down syndrome are going to be looking through these portfolios and they don't see any kids who look like their kid, they're probably not going to hire you. But if they do, then you're going to the top of their list because they're like, I already know because this kid right here, beautiful smile, having the time of their life during this photo shoot. I want that for my kid. I don't want a photographer who's just going to be like, I don't know, hey, look here, right here, dangling keys and stuff to try and get their attention. Like someone who can actually like get on their level and entertain them and have fun. So first thing, photographers, representation, um, and show everyone in good diversity in your portfolio. For the parents, Caitlin, I would say ask photographers if you're not seeing representation of your kids or any children with physical or disabilities in their portfolio. Ask them whenever you go like fill out their contact form. Just straight up ask like, "Hey, I have a child with this disability. Are you comfortable with that? Do you have not a portfolio? Do you have a gallery from a past family that you could share with me so I can see how you work with kids like my kid?" Because we do that a lot in the wedding industry where people will say, I'm having this barn wedding or I'm having this estate wedding. And, could you send me a full gallery of an estate or a full gallery of a wedding that you have photographed at my venue? And we do that. We will share that. That's part of our contract. And, we can do that with family photography as well. If you can just reach out to them and ask, which is great. So if you're not seeing representation in a portfolio, ask them straight up. And if they say no, then maybe move on. Or if they say no and they're like, no, but I am very comfortable and I think this will be a good fit, you can take that chance. Also ask around, ask other parents. There are a lot of Facebook groups, and you can just be like, "Hey, my kid's in a wheelchair. Has anyone hired a photographer who like did an amazing job with your kid who is also in a wheelchair or physically disabled?" But yeah, also you can look for blogs and different resources about like how like I said earlier, like Kelly Hutler, she's got all these resources for how to pose people with especially physical disabilities, and like finding those blogs, search online, Google, ChatGPT, whatever, and then whoever has written that blog, hire them if they're in your neighborhood, or if you want to fly them out or fly to them. Um, but yeah, searching for that kind of stuff, especially locally, those resources, and then just hiring that photographer who's put out those resources. Which, again, speaking to the photographers now, put out resources, write blogs, write articles, and put that out there for people to find. Because whenever they find that, they're going to see you can do what I'm needing, and let's go. I'm going to go ahead and hire you. But yeah, that's all my questions for today. Thank you all so much for sending in those. I think that was all the questions. That's all that I wrote down for my notes. So if I missed your question, so sorry. I'll try and bring that in for the February Ask Away. But yeah, um, every other week, I'm going to be doing this here on Patreon for the paid members. So, like in 2 weeks, we'll do another one of these that won't be free. So, if you're one of the freebies, you won't hear that one. But you can ask any questions, and those kind of go a little bit more like group coaching, one-on-one type stuff. And then every other week that's not that one, I do photo critiques or website critiques or pricing breakdowns, and we can actually go into your specific pricing guide. You can send me that and we can walk through it together. So I'm doing that here on Patreon as well. So if you want to subscribe and join the Patreon family, as I need to figure out a good name for y'all. Something witty would be good. Uh, oh no, I'll figure it out. Or if you have an idea, shoot me a DM. But yeah, join the Patreon, join the community here. I will see you next week. I think we're doing a portfolio critique, so you can send in your links to your portfolios, and then I will critique them to see if they match what type of photography you're saying. Like your words, you're authentic and you're real and you're documentary. If your photos actually say that about your work, or if there's a disconnect, and then how we can actually connect that. So that's going to be next week. But thanks again, and I will see you next time for that. How do I end podcasts? Keep creating and keep making the world a better place. Bye, y'all. See you later. If you enjoyed this episode, join us for the next Ask Away. I'm going to be doing that, like I said earlier, on February 24th, which is the Friday after next, if you're listening to this the week that it comes out. But yeah, submit your questions. You can send those on Instagram. You can join Patreon and send that. It will be the free tier, so you don't have to join right away. But you can access at least the Ask Away for free. And I've done a few other free things on there too for the free tier. And thanks for listening. Keep creating and keep making the world a better place. Bye, y'all.